Stardew Valley clone, Stardew Valley dupe, worse Stardew Valley, better Stardew Valley, just to name a few things I've heard about Field of Mistria. I have more than 100 hours in Stardew Valley and 35 hours of Field of Mistria ever since I played it 2 weeks ago. Every time a new cozy game comes out, people immediately start to compare it to Stardew Valley. Now it's happening again with Field of Mistria, but I don't think it's just because they're similar games. I think it's because Stardew Valley has kind of become the standard for what a cozy game is supposed to feel like. So instead of just comparing these two, I want to figure out, is Field of Mistria actually trying to be Stardew Valley, or are we just seeing it that way? For quick context, Stardew Valley is a peaceful farming sim where you escape your corporate burnout, only to emotionally grind relationships with people who barely acknowledge you. Field of Mistria is a game where they promise you a free house and a fresh start, but it's actually a capitalist scam where you become the town's unpaid intern fixing literally everything while everyone watches.
What?
They're both the same game, but very different in a lot of ways. Some people favor Stardew, some people favor Mistria. Hopefully, by the end of this video, you can tell me your opinion about it. Let's talk about the core gameplay loop. Both games give you a slow start, but Stardew is more of an individualistic game where you can spend most of the time on your own, tending to your crops and animals to earn money to unlock more things, while Mistria heavily encourages you to interact with villagers and do community quests to unlock various benefits like cosmetics, crafting or cooking recipes, building upgrades, etc. They are both very grindy, but I do feel like Mistria has more forgiving systems, and you could say Mistria is also a little faster pacing in a way. We'll get more into that in a bit. So which game makes me want to play just one more day? Honestly, at this point, I think both of them give me this just one more day feeling. Let me know what you guys think about it. When Mistria was released last year, I've heard tons of great reviews and lots of recommendations from Stardew players, saying that Mistria's NPC and romance is much better than Stardew. Now that I've experienced Mistria, here are my thoughts. Stardew Valley's characters feel real, like a little too real sometimes. You start off thinking it's just a cute farming game, and then you suddenly uncovering depression, family issues, addiction, and you're like, okay, we're doing this now. It makes the relationships feel really meaningful though, because it's not just, oh, this character is cute, you're actually getting to know them as a person. And honestly, half of the time it feels less like looking for the right partner today and more like unlocking emotional side quests. On the other hand, Field of Mistria goes in almost an opposite direction. The characters are way more lighthearted, more expressive, like everyone just has better emotional availability overall, which already makes it less realistic than Stardew. The focus isn't really on heavy backstories, it's more about friendships, group dynamics, and just enjoying the vibe of being around everyone. So while Stardew Valley focuses on individual relationships, like really getting to know one person at a time, Mistria feels more like it's about belonging to the whole town. You're not just building relationships, you're kind of just adopted by everyone. And I think that's why Stardew hits harder emotionally, but Mistria feels easier to just relax in. Stardew makes you care about people, and Mistria makes you feel like you're included. So yeah, do you want emotional damage, or do you just want good vibes and hot villagers who actually talk to you? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, but we need to talk about something very important. Who would I actually date in these games? Stardew is interesting. The more you learn about the characters, the easier it is to actually pick someone. Like, you go in thinking, oh, they're cute, but then you uncover their backstory and suddenly you're emotionally invested. It's not even about looks at this point, it's like, I can fix them kind of situation. And I think that's why Stardew works so well, because you don't just choose a partner, you kind of grow attached to them over time, which is slightly concerning but also very effective. In Stardew, I know a lot of you girls are obsessed with Sebastian, and then I learned his backstory and I was like, oh no, I'm emotionally invested now. And Shane, girl, that's not even a romance, that's a recovery program. Mistria, on the other hand, I'm gonna be honest, I don't feel that emotionally connected to anyone yet. The characters are fun and they're charming, but I'm not out here getting emotionally attached. However, the game might be turning me into a lesbian, because why are the female characters so cute, like, hello? And then the male characters are just kind of there. And I think this ties back to the writing. Stardew makes you fall for characters because of their stories, while Mistria, at least right now, pulls more from design and vibes. So in Stardew, I feel emotionally attached. And in Mistria, I'm just visually confused, which is a very different type of problem if you ask me. Like seriously, look at this and tell me why all of the female characters are so freaking hot. I can't even make up my own mind. Now let's talk about world immersion, because this is where the vibe of each game really starts to feel different. Stardew Valley's world just feels alive. The seasonal changes hit super hard. Like when winter comes around, everything slows down, the music changes, and you really feel that shift. It's not just visual, it's the atmosphere, the pacing, the soundtrack. And Stardew's soundtrack is honestly iconic. It carries so much of the emotional weight of the game that even when nothing is happening, it still feels like something is happening. Mistria has a very different kind of vibe. It leans more into that bright, lively fantasy feel. Everything is colorful, a bit more magical, a bit more energetic. It's definitely pretty, but it doesn't hit the same emotionally, at least not yet. And the soundtrack is nice, it works, but compared to Stardew, it's just not as memorable. And in terms of the world itself, I feel like Mistria's map is a bit more spread out. Things are further apart, and sometimes it can feel a little empty. But to be fair, it's still in early access, so that might actually be intentional, like they're leaving space to expand and add more content later on. So right now, Stardew feels more dense and lived in, while Mistria feels more open, but also a little bit unfinished. And depending on what you prefer, that can go either way. Stardew pulls you in with atmosphere and detail, while Mistria gives you more space, but hasn't fully filled it yet. Now, how about the art style? Because these two games go in very different vibes. Stardew Valley's pixel art is honestly just iconic. It's simple, but it's detailed in the ways that matter. Like, you can instantly tell who's who even from a distance. The characters feel distinct, the world feels cohesive, and after a while, it just becomes really familiar in a comforting way. It's one of those styles that doesn't try too hard, but it just works. Mistria's pixel art is a bit more minimal overall. The environments and sprites feel cleaner, but sometimes a little less detailed. Like it's not always as easy to immediately tell characters apart at a glance, but where Mistria really stands out is the character portraits. They lean more into the anime-inspired style, and there's a lot more variety in things like body types, ethnicity, designs, and even seasonal outfits. Like they knew exactly what they're doing, right? So Stardew's strength is in its consistency and readability. Everything feels distinct, grounded, and instantly recognizable. While Mistria feels more modern and stylized, it's going for that slightly more polished, almost whimsical fantasy look. And I think that's why Stardew feels more nostalgic and timeless, while Mistria feels newer, fresher, like a more modern take on the same genre. One feels like home and the other feels like a Pinterest fantasy life. So which one do I enjoy looking at for hours? I think I like both, so there's no winner here. Quality of life and optimization. This is where the difference between an older game and a newer one really shows. Starting with Mistria, it definitely has some optimization issues right now. I've had moments where the game just lags, and sometimes it can even crash. As a potato computer user, I do have to say that Field of Mistria gave me a lot of headache in the beginning, because even though it's a pixel game, which I play quite often, it is still very taxing in my GPU, and my computer kind of struggled running Field of Mistria and my VTuber model at the same time when I stream. Whereas I never had this issue before with Stardew Valley or a lot of pixel games that I play, so it is something to keep in mind. But to be fair, it's still in early access and it's quite cheap, so that's not super surprising. That being said, Mistria absolutely kills it when it comes to quality of life. It has a lot of small improvements that you don't really think about until you go back to Stardew Valley and suddenly miss them. Like being able to adjust how long your day lasts, life-changing. No strict deadlines on quests, so you don't feel stressed or rushed all the time. Also amazing. No heavy penalty if you don't get to your bed before 2 a.m. And there's no annoying fishing mechanics in the game. You can just chill and fish. It's pretty easy to fish in Mistria. And also the ability to save the game any time of the day that you want, and you don't have to wait until you go to sleep and wake up in the morning for the game to automatically save. Honestly, that's one of my favorite quality of life feature in Mistria, just to name a few. Just overall, the game feels a lot more forgiving. And going back to Stardew, you don't really notice it at first because the game is still very playable. But after experiencing some improvements, you can definitely feel its age. It's like nothing's wrong, but suddenly everything feels just a little more inconvenient. So this is one area where Mistria has a clear advantage. It just feels more modern, more convenient, and more respectful of your time as a player. Stardew has depth and polish from years of updates, but Mistria has that fresh, modern design mindset where everything is just a bit smoother to actually play. So yeah, Stardew might be the classic, but Mistria is definitely the quality of life upgrade. When it comes to content, depth, and longevity, I'll be honest, I can't fully judge this yet. I'm about 35 hours into Mistria, and I haven't even reached true endgame in Stardew either. But obviously, Stardew has a ton of content. It's been out for years, constantly updated, and people have sunk hundreds of hours into it. Mistria is still in early access, but even now, there's already a surprising amount of things to do. It definitely doesn't feel empty in terms of content, so I cannot really say which one has more depth in the long run, but I can say both games are very easy to lose hours in. And considering how cheap both of them are, you're getting a lot of value either way. So whether you pick Stardew or Mistria, you're not running out of things to do anytime soon. My honest verdict, Mistria is definitely better at quality of life features, community interactions, character portraits, but Stardew is still better at depth, emotional attachment, compact map design, iconic art style, and the super perfect soundtrack. If Stardew is the king, Mistria is the first real challenger. So my final take, I don't think Mistria is better or worse than Stardew. They're both great in their own ways, which is very impressive to think about because both developers of these two games managed to design such a niche, cozy game, but they're not merely dupes of each other. They're both unique in their own ways. Which one do you prefer? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like my video, and there will be more and more videos like this coming your way, so please keep in touch. Until next time. Bye. Bye bye.